If your knowledge base, I'm going to put that in quotes for you if that's okay, your knowledge base is just a stack of buried Google Docs and forgotten Loom videos, your team does not have clarity. All they have is clutter, just a bunch of stuff to kind of go through. This isn't about documentation. It's about trust. That's what this is really about. It's about execution, okay? And building a business that doesn't need you answering the same question 6 times. If that rings a bell, then I'm talking to you. In this video, I'll show you how to build a real knowledge base, not just for compliance, but for speed and for clarity and for ownership. So stick around. I'll show you the system that I use to onboard new team members without ever having to repeat myself. I'm Brett Payne from brettcpayne.com, and I help founders that are in growth stage or they want to be in growth stage build systems that their teams actually use. And this one that I'm going to talk about today, this is a game changer because it's one thing to write an SOP. It's a completely, entirely different thing to build a system where your team actually finds and uses it and they don't need you. So let me break it down. Point number 1, scattered documents equals scattered execution. Where are all these documents? I mean, where are all these systems that you've put together? I mean, let's be real for a second. If your systems, they live in these random Google Drive folders, or maybe they're pinned in Slack or in someone's inbox, for crying out loud, that is not a knowledge base. That's just a scavenger hunt. It's a complete time waster. You probably have 4, 5, 6 applications where you've got kind of these processes in place, maybe if you have them, but you don't want to make it a scavenger hunt for your staff, right? When info gets scattered around, what happens is that mistakes start to kind of creep in, and they're not a team problem. It's a system design problem. We can blame our team, right? Like you're not following procedure, but if you haven't made it like super simple and super easy, and if you want accountability, like you want them to actually do what you're asking them to do, it has to start with accessibility. They have to be available in a centralized, easy place for them. Point number 2, Notion versus Google Docs versus Trainual. You got to choose a home. And I could go on and on and on with the versus thing, right? The tool's not the magic, okay? I'm not here to promote a tool. There's not one that's necessarily better than another for every particular business. The tool's not the magic, it's the structure. Like you pick something, you live there. But the tool, it does matter, because if it's clinky and no one's gonna log into it, then your knowledge base dies on the vine. And I've used several of those. You have to be very careful about like new tools coming along that haven't been around for a long time and trying to get in them, because you spend a lot of time, if you're like me, like to learn new software, right? Learn new applications. What's the coolest new thing? And then you build inside of that and you have to ask your team to learn it. And all of a sudden it becomes not so much about the SOPs and the structure of your business. It becomes more about learning this new fancy tool instead of just making it into a nice, simple place that they can get to. Here's a couple things that might be helpful to you. There's a product called Notion. Notion is great for custom dashboards, which I do talk about. It's very flexible. And it's really easy to make pretty also. You can do that with Notion. There's another tool that I've referenced many times, and I use it a lot. It's Google Docs, right? It's fast. It's familiar. Chance of it going away is almost none, but often they get buried with intentional links and folders inside of these Google Docs, and you have to be very careful about how you organize things. There's another tool called Trainual, and this is structured and it's templatized, but it's really less flexible. So you have to be careful with this one. It's best if your team needs like this read and sign off compliance, right? So you know that they've done it, they've read it, they've signed off, and you can verify that. That's really where Trainual comes in. Personally, I just like to use Google Docs. Just pick one home. That's the point, right? Build a habit around that with your team so they always know where to go to. I can tell you there's several of these main things that we use with my teams, and it's always the same with every company I have. We use all the Google products. We do. When we do projects, we use a tool called Asana because it's free. We use Slack for communication. And generally, when we're sharing training things or wanting to explain something like in a screen share, we use a product called Loom. And it's really kind of those 4 things that we stick around. We also build and go high level. So we have kind of this base of things. I talk about all of those on our channel. If you're serious about building a business that really does outlive your effort, I want to encourage you to hit subscribe. I put videos just like this every week inside of the channel, so it'll help you scale without having to babysit your team. Point number 3, build the dashboard not the dumping ground. A great knowledge base doesn't just store info, it guides the action. That's what you want it to do, is guides the action of your business. It's like a cockpit, right? Everything essential is right where it needs to be, so everyone knows where to go to find out what they need to do in order to achieve what you want them to achieve. You want to use dashboards or portals for each team or process area, and the fewer the clicks, the more usage you're going to get. Let me ask you something. What's the last process you had to personally explain because your team couldn't find it themselves, even though you may have talked about it over and over? Put that process in the comments below, and let's look at that as maybe your first rebuild priority. That might be where you have to start. Point number 4, your knowledge base is only as good as its search. Search is very important, especially when you have a massive knowledge base. It's really not optional, okay? You have to use clear naming conventions, make it systematic, tag your content, create quick links and indexes. Sometimes, and I had a big project that I worked on that was a massive structure of Google documents and specific folders and things like that. The way that I indexed it was I actually created a single document at the root level that was essentially a table of contents that listed everything that was in there and the link to that particular document and to the folder. Google doesn't organically do that. You can do it with a single document, but you can't do it with a folder structure. So I had to make my own. But I did that because the people that I was working with, I wanted to make sure it was searchable, right? Don't rely on memory or I think it's in that folder. It will not work. Have a standardized central place. You can call it a dashboard. You can call it a table of contents, whatever you want to call it. But you can quickly use that as kind of your hub so that you can look there. You can search that document, right? It'll take you to the link and that'll take you to the proper document that has everything in there that you need. Because when someone drops the ball, it's usually not because they didn't care. It's just they couldn't find what they needed. Okay. Point number 5, integration and onboarding without headaches. Here's where it clicked for me. I stopped trying to document everything from scratch. I started recording either with my voice in my iPhone with my voice memos app. I recorded everything, or if it required me to show something, I would use a product called Loom, which is at loom.com. And then I would drop it into a Google Doc and I would link them to the proper task. And that's it. It was fast. It was repeatable. It was a plug and play for all my new hires. They knew exactly, follow the path, use the link to go to the training, which was either an audio or a video. And it was right there for them. If you want to dig deeper on this, go watch my video, SOPs, Looms, or micro trainings, why your team keeps getting it wrong. I will explain everything there. That video breaks it down when to use the different formats, because there's not one format that is perfect for everything, and how to keep your knowledge base alive without becoming a bottleneck yourself. You don't want to be the one having to maintain all these things. The link for that is in the description. If your team still asks you how to do things, your system needs a central home. That should be the focus of what you do as a leader. Go watch the video with a very long name, SOPs, Looms, and micro trainings, why your team keeps getting it wrong. Watch that one next. Plot that on your path as you grow. That's the next one to go to. Don't get distracted with something else. It'll show you how to make sure your knowledge base actually works, not just for you, but it works for them. Because remember, the goal isn't to make a pretty wiki. You haven't heard that word in a long time, right? It's not to make that. It's a business that runs smooth. That's what you're after, even if you're off the grid for a vacation, for a day, for a weekend, for a week. How about a month? Why don't we build that?